Welcome to the Aaron Warner podcast on iCode Media. I'm Aaron Warner, and I am joined today by somebody that you all may have heard before. She might have been on the show once or twice. No, we have Dr. Brianna Rhue with us. Brianna has turned into one of my best friends this last year. And Brianna, I'm excited because we get to meet in person for the first time at Vision Expo East. Yeah, right. Who knew that a LinkedIn message a year and change ago would turn into a really cool friendship and now a cocktail in Orlando.
I know, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And speaking of Orlando, I want to jump right in because I have a signed copy of Brianna's The Pitch, or the I Pitch book. I'm trying to read it backwards. And appreciate the signed copy. And this is pretty cool. And you guys are going to have these out at Vision Expo East, right?
Yeah, so they'll be at the Dr. Contact Lens booth, P1249, Wallaby Sherman Way. Like, when I say it, I'm like, all like in Finding Nemo.
Just keep swimming. Oh, great movie. Yeah. So I can mention what I think the book's about, but you wrote it. So give us the real quick overview of why you put this together, because it's pretty darn cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really excited to where I've gotten to sit is very different. In running a private practice, then launching a tech company and growing that and sharing it with our colleagues, and realizing, starting on one side of the table, moving to the other side of the table, right? Like, I'm dropping a pretty penny here to have a booth at Expo.
Yep.
To get it out there and share it. And I would just constantly have these conversations. I'm in all these different groups where they're saying, optometrists are bad at business. Why don't they come by our booths? How do we get them by our booths? We should put them on this bingo card and give them these giveaways. And, we all try to get, we got to reel the fish in here a little bit, right?
Yep.
And so that's the preface of the book, is to realize, I realized this, a few short months ago, where everyone is trying to pitch you, man. It's the doctor, right? Your staff's trying to pitch you. Your colleagues are trying to pitch you. The speakers are trying to pitch you. Your vendors are trying to pitch you, right? So what does that make you? It makes you the shark in Shark Tank, right? But we're not acting like sharks. We're acting like scared little minnows that everybody's trying to reel in to get you to the booth. Mm-hmm. So I think this was just a big perspective shift, and we'll get into why I think that that's gone that way later in here. But then it shows you that, again, we are in these circles, and you hear it too, Karen. You're in the same yep. circles I'm in with industry. We're not that good at business, right? And I hate that, because of course we're not. We went to optometry school, right? We went from high school into grad school. High school, college, grad school. We went in to be the smartest person in the room, which is a very dangerous place to be. And we maybe worked odd jobs like you and I did, right? Yeah. I worked at the Broadmoor Hotel. I worked in restaurants, bartending, whatever, where you didn't really emulate what a company really was and what leadership really was. And to do work on that is really critical. And so what I figured out was, we have your clinical mind, which is first do no harm. That's one of the first parts of the oath that we learn in patient care, right? You can't take risk in patient care. No. You have to be sure. You have to use that critical training that you were given, right? But in business, you have your business mind. You have to take risk. You can't have all the answers. Yeah. You have to be unsure, right? And then when people come up to our booth and steal my purple staplers, God, guys, those staplers are not a giveaway. We call y'all trick-or-treaters. We're really good at trick-or-treating. How many rubber balls do you need? Okay. Love all you.
I'm stealing a stapler now. I have to steal a stapler now.
Now we're going to be like, sorry, stapler giveaway. Expo. So what I've seen is, when you walk into the booth, maybe you want like something that's there. I get it. Some socks, whatever. But ask me better questions. Don't cup up instantly and say, how much does this cost? Because I instantly go into value mode, and we're talking past each other. Yeah. So how do we meet industry where it is and get us to meet the doctor, doctors meet industry, industry meets doctors, because the world goes around that way.
Yep.
And so it just leads you through a guideline on how to really evaluate something, so you're making an educated decision over an emotional one. And that'll get me into, how I can tell if an office is going to be successful. And away we go.
Away we go.
So that's the preface of the book. And then it's a tool, so you can now keep that. Because we have all these sticky notes all over our desk of people that visited or people that called or things we want to evaluate. But we don't really give ourselves the time.
Nope. I perfectly well said. I actually was brainstorming on this when I flew home from Houston earlier this week and watched Shark Tank, all the episodes back to back to back, and it was really interesting to me what questions they asked. Every single one of them had something to write down what was going on.
Yep.
And I don't think I've ever had something writing down when I've talked to the different vendors at conferences, right? So it put things in perspective. It's laid out very beautifully. I don't want to give it away. Everything's here because I want them to come talk to you and get the book. But it really helps me have a conversation with me, right? And I think that in bringing in key people in my practice to find out if it is good for the business. And so you hit on the two minds. We're taught to mitigate risk, and then we're told to have a business where you don't advance unless you take risks. So we're diabolically opposed. Yeah. And our two brains are. Which I think is where and I hate the phrase, we're not good business people, because we've got very successful businesses. We don't know how to manage risk because we were taught to avoid it at all costs. Mm-hmm. Right. And I don't like the word play it safe, but you don't want to risk in healthcare. But you do want to take appropriate risks in business, right? And certainly for fun, we jump out of airplanes or ride motorcycles and do stuff that would make mom really upset. But that is not in the book. So I like how you got to have it laid out. And so when you talk about the Shark Tank mentality, dive into that a little bit, because that was a huge light bulb for me when you and I texted over it a little bit ago, right? What made you pick up on that?
Yeah, I again, just being on the other side of the booth and trying to reel people in and asking them silly questions. So my pitch to get people over the booth is, do you sell contacts? And then I know instantly if that's going to be a valuable conversation for you or not. I don't want to waste your time, just like you don't want to waste mine. Yeah. So then the answer to that kind of leads into the next thing, which is, do you want to sell more of them? And the response I get to that can go either way.
I've given up anticipating what people are going to respond with, ever.
Right. And so I get well, duh, or there's no money in contacts, or which there is a shitload of money in contacts, guys. These companies online are not billion-dollar companies because there's no money in contacts. Yeah. So I think we've just been brainwashed to think that, right, for other entities outside of our own. And so then that leads into the different conversations. So it's just always so hard to pull people in, right? And now more than ever, I need to build the business. I need to build the awareness. I know we've gotten this tool. So just like you have a business, in my practice, I've got a business. I've got a business at Dr. Contact Lens that I got to feed. Yep. And then, these shows to go to, the booths that they want, some of them are $2,500, some of them are $10,000, right? So I got to get an ROI, which means I got to have a really good conversation. I've got to close some stuff there, get you successful with it, right? I'm not selling you snake oil.
No.
And so that's where now is we're not realizing why we get to go to these cool conferences. It's because of your vendors. And we get to go to cool cities and have these experiences because of that. Yep. So what I've seen now is just so many people are so skittish as soon as you think we're going to start selling to them. And I saw a post recently on one of these amazing groups that was like, I'm so sick of all these pitches and being pitched to all the time. I'm like, that's the seat you get to sit in. Yeah. That's the seat you get to sit in. So sit in it, because everybody wants your seat.
And it changes the whole dynamic. It's right, because I will admit, right, I'm very guilty of the opening line of how much is it. And I'm also guilty of being a hypocrite because I despise it when my patients ask me that. I'm like, really? That's what I've boiled down to? All of this, and all you want to know is how much it is? And then I show up at your booth. I'm like, hey, Brie, what is it? How much is it? Right, so there's a little bit of looking in the mirror. I appreciate it. So my goal is to never ask that question again, at least as a leading question, right? Help me understand what it is. I also learned in Shark Tank that sharks don't talk first. They just listen, right? If anything, it's, hey, give me your pitch, right? Very rarely are they jumping in and interrupting. They're letting somebody finish. And I was impressed watching the show how efficient that was. Because when they were done, either their questions were already answered and they could refer back to something somebody said, or they had a bigger picture of the questions. So I
love that, actually.
Right, just let them finish talking, and listen instead of
going purely on defense.
Yeah, purely on defense, right? Because you don't have to say yes. You can say no, it's not for me. Right? And I can't imagine that would offend you if I go, hey, that sounds really cool, but you know what, it's not for me. Right? Well, you don't want to work for somebody you don't want to partner with somebody that's not for them. You know, that's just as good as...
That's a drain on my resources, a drain on my...
Oh, yeah.
On my mindset. And what I've seen is... I love that. So as we are coming to Expo, right, is really realize why all these things are there. Mm-hmm. And it's for you.
Yeah.
So if you're unsubscribing to emails and you're unsubscribing to, vendors reaching out to you or giving you these things, your experiences are going to go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think more than ever, and I think why we've become this way too, Aaron. So you graduated optometry school in...
Oh, wait.
We're going to put it out there.
Yeah, we're going to put it out there. Oh, wait. I'm still young enough to say that.
So I was 2009, but I was the end of 2009. So your class and the doctors in the 80s and the 70s, 80s, 90s, they got wined and dined, like flights and hotels and experiences. And then you had the Sunshine Act get passed in my year. So the year, my optometry school year, I went external first. So you know how you go external, like you can stay in-house or go so I went out first and then came back to the school. And the class that stayed in first, oh my God, Aaron, they got so much stuff because they were getting rid of all these things because they didn't know what was going to happen. And then my class came back in and we didn't even get a pen.
Oh yeah.
I think that was that's when kind of our egos, because you do something super special. You serve patients. Yeah. That's a really hard thing to do day in and day out, especially if you're not feeling served yourself, right?
Yep.
So we took that ego away a little bit.
Yep.
And now you got to give it back. Mm-hmm. Like you're allowed to have it.
Yep. Right?
To an extent.
So you're giving me permission to have an ego? Because I don't have one. So you're a little one?
A little itty bitty baby one. But we didn't get wined and dined like that. I mean, it's coming back a little bit with experiences and cool conferences and realizing that you need that in order to get information out there, especially because we're doing a lot of online CE. Guys, how do you learn about new things? How do you have water cooler conversations if you're doing all this free CE? And you know why it's free? Because the vendors paid to get you there.
Yeah.
So it's like the circle of life we really have to understand to support the industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we need the industry to take care of patients, right? At the end of the day, they're customers because they're consuming healthcare, and they have a choice. And I don't shop like I shopped 5 years ago, certainly not like I did in high school. And, I buy on Amazon at midnight when I remember I need something and I can't sleep. And it shows up probably the next day. In fact,
if it doesn't... teleported, it's fine. We're already into teleportation.
We're already there, right?
I don't even know how it got there.
I can hear the drones showing up, right? But if it takes 2 days to get here, I'm annoyed because I want it now, right? I mean, how horrible does that sound to say out loud, right? Or I'm appalled if I have to get my...
Is that like your inner grandchild coming out?
I am hitting that stage, right? Stay off my lawn, and I need my Amazon packet tomorrow, not in 2 days. And I want to be able to buy a bunch of stuff. I'm guilty of, I'll buy it all, I'll try it all on, and then I'm going to take back whatever I don't want. Right? Yeah. The dressing room is now my house, not the little weird cubby they give me at whatever store.
With the weird lighting.
With the weird lighting and, the Lululemon people writing my name in big Expo marker on the wall. It's weird. I'll buy the stuff. I'll take back what I don't want. And if you're in retail listening to this, I'm sorry. I know I'm the bane of your existence, but that's how I shop.
But we are in retail, right?
Yeah.
So that same experience that you're having there is the same experience we're giving to our patients and expecting a different result, right? So exactly. I recently did a post yesterday on LinkedIn. It was really funny when I was shooting it, and I was replaying it in my head. So a patient, you walk a patient up and you have this wonderful handoff, and they get to the front and you've taken care of all their problems and prescribed all the stuff that they needed. So, okay, you give it, all right, Robin, here's all the things they need. Good luck, right, pretty much. And, all right, so your copay is $10, your Optos is $39, your glasses are $407, your year supply of contacts is $936. Here's your, macular vitamin, here's your dry eye vitamin, here's the drops that doctor prescribed, here's your eye mask. So your total today is, $1,700 minus your vision plan rebate of $150 and this rebate that you get to mail in here. And I literally went through it, and no wonder they're literally oh my God, what did you just say? Oh, and the doctor wants to see you back in 2 weeks to start your IPL treatment, which is going to be $6.
Yep. That's crazy.
So we're trying to condense so much in here. So again, when that Amazon way, and we'll get into now why I can see which practices are going to be successful and which ones aren't. Yep. That's kind of what stemmed this conversation. Yep. And my epiphany I called you with the other night is they do just lean back. Everybody's leaned back because there's no trust, right? Yeah. No different than we don't trust the Lululemon people or those salespeople, right?
Yeah.
So send this prescription to them digitally. Let them see that you are not lying, that you are cheaper. And guess what? They want it shipped home, guys. Yeah. I don't care if you live in Alaska. I don't care if you lived under a bridge. Okay? People want it shipped. Yeah. So figure that out in your flow. Yep. And then you put yourself in the driver's seat of keeping those patients connected to your practice. A patient is going to leave your practice still a patient or someone else's consumer.
Yep.
So you got to wrap this up in a pretty bow.
Yep. And I'm convinced they want to do business with us, even if we're more expensive, slightly, right? There's a buffer there, but I'm convinced they want to do business with us. But we push them away.
Yes.
Unknowingly, right?
Yeah.
And so because we're not easy, right? We don't sit in their seat, as you just said, and overwhelm them with all of this, or you got to come back 5 times to double check things, or call me. Why would I be calling you? You're the one selling me something. You should make it easy for me.
Call me if you want to place your order.
Yeah, call me if you want to place your order. I again, guilty forever, right? Right, that was in my chart notes. I go back and look.
It's all learning. And we're seeing this, and we're seeing that the trends change.
Yep.
And evolve, right? Because nobody likes the word change. Again, dopamine versus some prednisone in there for you.
Exactly. We need to evolve.
Not prednisone. What?
I was gonna just let that slide, but yeah.
You want a little FML right now?
Well, San Diego is a very high allergy town, so may have a bottle here or there.
I was thinking it stood for something else, not the drop.
Oh yeah, well, I'm trying to keep this family friendly.
Okay, fine.
Too funny. But so all of this together, right? And how? Because you work with a lot of practices. Get past the how much is it, right? You may or may not have stolen your stapler, but they sign the dotted line and say, I want to work with Dr. Contact Lens. I'm serious. You better lock it down. You're probably going to get some stapler hostage pictures after this event, right? Ransom notes. But
seriously.
So they've signed up. They say, I want to do this. And you most of our vendors in the industry, right? They have a really good onboarding process, right?
Yeah.
And so you start that. And I think I asked you, I said, how do you know if somebody's going to be successful or not, right? And so what have you figured out the answer to that question is?
So what I have figured out, and this again was reiterated recently, is if you as, again, or if you're putting your business owner hat on,
Yep.
knowing that you are there to serve the patient,
Mm-hmm.
in turn, your staff, right?
Yep.
If you're there to serve your patient first and deal with the pushback from your team, you will be successful. If you are there to serve your team's comfort first and then the patient, you will not be successful. Meaning the business life cycle is you as the doctor invest in technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just back of the house, your OCTs and all the stuff we love to play with, right? But technology that helps enable your team to do better things. Give your team that time to adopt it. Realizing your team then takes care of the patient and the patient takes care of you. If you cut that anywhere, that's where I see the pushback. That's where I see, oh, this wasn't successful for us. Well, number one, you didn't do your training. You came in kicking and screaming that we're going to disrupt your process. And I am.
Yeah.
Okay? But you're going to learn something, right? Yeah. And we're going to learn your process. I'm not here to disrupt your flow, man. I don't want to do that either. But what I've seen is, and I'm guilty of this, right? Where I wanted them to implement something. And we've all heard, priority used to be singular. You had a priority, and now we have priorities.
Yep.
But if you're putting a priority on someone's desk at your team and you don't give them the time to implement it correctly, meaning they have time to show up for the trainings, they have time to do the check-in calls, they have time to do the onboarding call, right? If that's rushed in between patients, of course they're going to go kicking and screaming because you didn't take anything off their plate. Mm-hmm. So you have to go through that little bit of uncomfort. And that's the teams where I see that are going to lead into 10, 15, 30 years from now, right? Are the ones that are adopting quickly, that are changing it, that are realizing the tech that they were using from 10 years ago, even though it was free.
Yep.
Right? It's not really free, guys. It's costing you a shitload of money to ship contacts back home or ship contacts to the office. Your team is wasting all this time double entering everything. You're going to 4 different systems. Like, who wants to do that?
Nope.
That's not efficient. And so I think, and that's again in a long-winded way, is you are there to serve your patients. Your patients are the reason you have a practice and a business. Your team is also there to serve the patient, not to make their lives easier. Again, things out there do, if you're willing to do the training.
Yes.
And also not always be right. Like, I'm not always right. And we're going to learn, and that's how Dr. Contact Lens is developed, is we listen to everybody's insight. I mean, the stuff that we've developed because of great things, hey, I wish it did this, I wish it did that. Be part of the build. Be part of the build. Like things that we've developed for you that I didn't know, right? So, it takes some time. It takes money. Like sometimes those buttons, somebody's like, Brianna, I just wish it did this. And I was like, going through all these things that it's going to break and adding up all the tech time. I'm like, that button's going to cost me $75,000. Right?
Yeah.
So yes, eventually we'll get to it, but it'll be in like different areas. So that's again in giving proper feedback, kind feedback, because you don't like it when you get a bad review. No. So why do we do that to our companies? Why are we putting them in these different arenas or these different areas? So again,
constructive feedback. Yep.
Yeah.
The Myopia Collective. Cooper Vision and the AOA have partnered in a groundbreaking initiative to change the way optometrists in the U.S. treat children with myopia. The purpose of the Myopia Collective is to rally the profession of optometry and its allies to interrupt the status quo and elevate the new standard of care for children with myopia. Every individual is encouraged to become a member of the collective. By joining, you commit to taking action to help slow the progression of myopia in children. You'll receive updates and information about the collective and its work in the fight against myopia, gain access to educational opportunities and resources offered by the collective, and hear from change agents, the ambassador optometrists selected to serve as advocates for community and policy change that facilitates the mission of the collective. Scan the QR code or click on the link in the show notes to join the collective today. In the past, Our focus revolved around prescribing MacuHealth or MacuHealth Plus to patients at risk of macular degeneration, while also recommending it to collegiate and professional athletes for enhanced contrast sensitivity in sports performance. However, this year's introduction of the Life Meter has been a game changer. The Life Meter revealed a concerning truth. Many of my patients have alarmingly low skin carotenoid levels, indicating potential deficiencies in essential body tissues like the retina and brain. Supported by over 30 peer-reviewed publications, Life Meter's accuracy, consistency, and effectiveness has been demonstrated across 2,000 subjects with diverse backgrounds. With this newfound insight, I can now have meaningful conversations about carotenoid levels with all of my patients, even those who may seem outwardly healthy. To learn more about this empowering technology, feel free to contact your MacuHealth representative or click on the link in the show notes. Together, let's optimize patient care and elevate their well-being. So while I was listening to you, two thoughts. One was, I didn't even connect the dots in my brain, but this week's podcast, I did a monologue about focusing on not just the outcome, but on the process. Right?
Yeah, we're into processes right now, right?
Went to a shooting course, right? And we did it's called the Now Drill. So you can listen to the podcast, but long story short, I was not hitting the target. And my friend instructor yells at me in the run of fire and says, Aaron, stop looking at the target, look at your front sight. And immediately it collapsed down. And so that turned into a lesson for the entire group, saying Aaron was focusing on the outcome, what he wanted to have. He wasn't focusing on the process. The minute he did, everything went to exactly what you wanted it to be. And then I'm thinking that, and then Simon Sinek's start with why, but really the why, how, what, right? And when the why is not, we take care of patients, you go a different direction than where you are focused. Even though you say you're taking care of them, if the why is I take care of I make life easier for my staff, or the why is I need to pay for the family vacation, which is the only reason why we're doing what we're doing, right? Or whatever. If it's not patient-centric, which is the ultimate why, the point of our practice is, you end up not landing where you were aiming.
Yeah.
And so when you focus on that patient, then everybody's aligned going, okay, the how we focus on it is now we've got to look at the process, dedicate time to it, to your point, like making that space, making that time, allowing people to say, wow, this is tough. I'm really sore, right? This is not comfortable. And yeah, you're supposed to be. It's new, right? I'm being disruptive, but the disruption's going to get us to a better short-term disruption for a better long-term outcome, and no different than going to the gym, right? Lifting weights is tough. Leg day sucks. I don't care who you are. Leg day sucks, right? Followed closely by ab day, and
he works out.
Yeah, well, I just talk about it, right? And find shirts that fit your form, and then people say that you look like you work out. But but you're sore, right? And we're happy we're sore after the gym. It tells us that we put the work in. But we're not happy we're sore after work because we think that that's disruptive instead of saying, hey, I put the work in today, right?
Yeah.
Because when you get to that point where I can run 10 miles and not bat an eye, and I can eat whatever I want because I know my metabolism's running and I'm sleeping good and I'm feeling good, like that's the ultimate place to get to. So I want my doctor contact lens system to be easy and patients order everything, but it's going to take a little bit of that discomfort to get to it in that process. But ultimately it's for the patients. I like that.
Well, and two, one other quote that we both have really come to like a lot is you don't fail to the level of your goals or to your habits. You fail to the level of your systems and your processes. Yep. And I think that that's where we're running everybody ragged. Like in one system, they're drop down selecting all of these things, even in your EMR, right? And so using AI and mapping and things like that, right? Like if I type AccuView Oasis AVO, our system with AI now can pick it up, and Biofinity Toric has been written 227 different ways. Okay, I don't even know how, guys. And so the AI is getting good, right? From me and my sister, literally sitting at night, drop down selecting all of this stuff. Wow. I owe my sister, a lot. Thanks, Brittany. Love you. Yeah. We would have matching, okay, we got an hour. I just onboarded this office. I got to get all this. You should have seen where this started, Aaron. Oh my God. But that's, again, allows us to have these systems that we have now that everybody gets to reap the rewards. So what I also want people to realize, and that's what I'm hoping the book will help with, is you have the adoption curve, right? You have your early adopter, or you have like your, I don't know, it's like early adopters, late adopters, laggards, right? The majority of us, because again, we're looking at it through a business mind or a clinical mind, or looking through it a clinical mind versus a business mind, we're like on that laggard side.
Yeah.
And so we gotta move, even if you just move yourself one up, like not all the kinks are gonna be worked out, right? It is only at this point $300 a month. Like, price is going up, guys. One guy, it was like at the point when I started selling, it was like $49 a month. And one of my friends, he's finally getting around to it. Like, thank God I'm still here. Okay, number one, like that we made it. Thanks, Grandma Kaiser, and for being an early investor. So I'm not gonna be able to go to Thanksgiving anymore. Just to put that out there, unless this like works. But he goes, okay, I'm like ready to go now. And he's like, I still get do I get that, Brianna Friend Florida discount? I was like, dude, that was 5 years ago, man. Yeah. Like, no, like you're paying all the stuff I've had to put up with you for. No. So like, it's funny too, because some people don't want to work with you too.
Yeah. So
you got to be careful that you don't get into that bucket. That you are, friendly to work with, that you are kind, and that you give that respect that you're looking for back. Everybody has to pay meals. Everybody has to, we live in a monetary society. We live in a transaction, right? Mm-hmm. And so when Dan Martell, my favorite author, which is kind of what started our relationship,
exactly,
right? Is he says that the transformation happens at the transaction. And then I added recently, if you don't do the transaction, you can't get to the transformation. So that's, again, why you're investing. Don't look at this as a cost. This is an investment in your patients. It's an investment in your future. It's an investment in your practice. It's an investment in your team, right? Yeah. And so that's why you got to be careful of free.
Yep.
Because this stuff is being used against you. And understand AI and data, and I hate the word AI. How many times can we talk about it? Yep. Don't be scared of it, right? Were we scared of the iPhone?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But now can we live without this thing?
Not having a button was weird. I remember being really upset when they took away the little home button. Well, the BlackBerry days, or even the iPhone, you had the home button.
Yes.
Like, what am I going to push now? I've got no button to... I needed a button.
I remember feeling the same way.
Right.
I did.
God. I will tell you, I missed my iPod, my iPod, though, that only had music and nothing else. Like, it just... Yeah. But...
maybe those days are coming back.
Maybe. Will we swing back the other way?
Simplicity.
Yes. Well, it's interesting. Mick Kling, Lori Sorensen, and I helped teach a course at Vision Source. We have a whole business of optometry series of courses, but this particular one is called EASE, which stands for Eliminate, Automate, Simplify, and Elevate. So what can you eliminate? Like we have so much stuff. What do we need to stop doing? What can we automate? Because why are you, as the highest paid person and probably the highest educated person in the business, doing, right? What can you automate down so that it just happens, right? What can you simplify? Because to your point earlier, when I'm giving you and then, it becomes too much and you're overwhelmed. And then ultimately, when you've got all this, systems built and cleared out, you have opportunities to elevate your people and turn it from, hey, you don't come to work as a job, but now you're part of a profession. You're part of a care team that's taking care of patients, whether it's on the transactional side, more where I'm getting you product, or it's on the service side where you're now NCLE certified and you're doing a lot of the contact lens exams work. You're involved in the treatments of the IPLs, whatever the case may be, right? It gives you a chance to elevate those people because you've gotten rid of the crap you've been asking them to do, because you've either eliminated it, automated it, right, or simplified the process. And you talked about shipping contact lenses to patients as opposed to the practice. I remember 12 years ago, I think we started doing it. Everybody said I was crazy because how much I was paying. I timed how long it took to get the box, open the box, find the paper, wrap it around
it's
rubber band.
28 steps, Aaron.
It's a ton. I saved by paying the shipping. I was saving double that in staff time on how much I was paying my staff.
Yeah.
Right, but you don't see that money that comes in. We don't see the savings. We only see the outgoing, and it took a long time for me to even convince my own staff. And part of it was just leadership and saying, I hear you, but we're gonna still do it this way. And then now they love me for it because it took one thing out of the office. But it's
and that's
here's the next
fully
thing.
Evaluating it, right? So
Yep.
your first E is, what was your first E? Eliminate. So I think you need to maybe add another E in there where you're fully evaluating it through a clear lens to give yourself clarity so that you can go through those other steps. Because I see also people are just cutting things without having the full thing. And I've had Dr. Contact Lens offices do that. Like, she looked at that, her office hadn't grown at all. And so she put us into that bucket.
Oh.
And I was like, whoa. I'm like, you have had, I can see it. You've grown 18% in your contact lens business. But she wrapped it all together in one bucket. And so again, it's fully evaluating each individual thing and getting all the numbers, right? Again, you got to take time to do this.
Yep.
So, but put it on somebody in your team, and then you reevaluate it with them, and to see where you really can go. So be conscious of that too. And then recently at the Vision Council, they just released some data where we were up, eye exams in private practices were up, drum roll, it's a really big number, 2024, by 1%. Oh, doing good, guys.
Yeah.
But sales in optical and our capture rates went down 6%,
Yep.
which means we're seeing more patients and we're selling less shit. So that's all that stat says. But again, when you put yourself back in these shoes, and that's what you'll see in Dr. Contact Lenses, you just, by automatically simplifying it, right, sending them a digital copy of their prescription inside your store, like to call it exiting through the gift shop.
Yeah.
Space Mountain lets you off in the gift shop for a reason, guys, because they know they got you right there. You're not going to walk all the way around Disney and then go back and buy that toy, right? You're going to buy it right there. So the same thing with the contact lens prescription, soon to be the glasses and other things, right? That's what we're working on. So it's just wrapping it again all up in that pretty well.
Experience. Yep. When you buy it right there, because I want to. You said Space Mountain lets you off in the gift shop, and I own way too much Space Mountain memorabilia, mostly because Star Wars stuff's in there, and you got a dog named Chewbacca and another one named Kylo Ren. It's you got to buy Star Wars stuff, but but you want to buy it, right? It's not a hard sell. You want to buy it at that moment. And so I said it earlier, patients want to buy with us. So when I hear we're up 1% in exams and we're down 6% in retail sales, what I'm hearing is that the experience that we're providing hasn't kept pace with expectations. And so patients, again, aren't choosing not to do business with us. We're just not helping them do business. We're making it more difficult. They want to buy the memorabilia from Space Mountain, but we're making them walk back down to Main Street, which is too far away, right? Instead of just having it right there where they're at. Meeting them where they're at is an expression I think I heard from Alex Martin that makes a lot of sense, right? Just meet them where they're at. Meet them that way they don't have to go anywhere. It's easier for you because you finished the sale. You want them to have the best care, and so you give them the best care on the service side. You also give them the best care on the I'm going to say retail side, right? The glasses, contacts, because you're going to take care of them. We all take care of people, and sometimes to our detriment, but we take care of them, and so we know it's the best place for them to do it. We just sometimes make it so hard that it's. I don't think they leave. I think we push, and so right. So seeing that number down just tells me I've got to go back and reevaluate the experience I'm offering them. So it's the experience they want, and I'm meeting them where they're at.
Yeah, and I would love to get your take because I do so much of this and I see it. And one thing too is the industry really is rooting for us because if the patient does order from us, it's like that whole toothpaste scenario that everybody's heard, right? You get a new bottle of toothpaste, you use it a lot, and then you get down to that little bit and you're like, God, I gotta,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yep.
Same thing is for contacts. And so that's why we push so much in your supplies and want to, they want that to happen. They want that transaction to happen with you. All of the manufacturers do because they sell more, right? Because we are good at it, but that's dwindling because, again, of the conversation we just had of we're trying to do this myopia treatment and the dry eye treatment and all this other things. And so really less is more. When a patient comes in to, the first thing that you and I say is, why'd you schedule with me?
Yeah.
And that's what you end with. So one thing I keep hearing over is there's no money in contacts. Guys, it's 30% of your revenue and growing because people want, maybe with like smart eyewear and stuff like this is going to like take off. I guess that's what's happening at the Consumer Electronics Show. So we'll see at Expo how much is there. But I'm not a glasses person. I don't see myself doing, maybe, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to say never. But I look really weird in glasses.
Now we got to see it.
I am not. Like, everyone's like, Brianna, whoa. You want to go back to contacts there. But the portion here with 30% is in contact lens wearers. Your glasses patients come back on average every 3 to 5 years. Your contact lens patients come back on average every 18 to 24 months. Your contact lens patients are what drive a lot of the glasses sales. It's what drives your dry eye practice. It's what drives your myopia practice, right? So not caring about it in our practice, it's every patient, every encounter, every time. And if you're in the back throwing up all these scripts, because we do it all day, and we're like, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. We're just like robots, right? 1 or 2, you're doing your supply, back to a Space Mountain. So if you take them all the way through it, show them a really nice quote, right? And if they leave, print that.
Yeah.
Don't print the script. Yeah, I know you legally got to do it. You get to give it to them digitally inside your store. Like, take the disruption back.
Yep.
And that's one of my favorite things. Again, like, be the shark in your practice.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that. Own the disruption, right? The obstacle, the obstacle is the way, right? We just did that on Book Nerds. And look at it as a positive. I think there's lots of money in contacts. I think like anything else, if I go to the gym and one day decide to do the Stairmaster, one day decide to do the treadmill, another day try to do a couple push-ups, another day do some bench press, and there's no system, I'm not going to get the gains that I want. I'm not going to get the outcome that I want. If there's a system, which is why this year is the year of the systems for me, and we, probably a different episode we can get into why I have one contact lens exam fee, right? Because it simplifies the process. And I'm not saying you have to, I'm just saying for me it simplified the process. By the way, I make more money on the contact lens exam fee than I do on any managed vision care reimbursement. So, and it's less work. So I'm already making more money there.
Except if your husband is becoming presbyopic and is a myope with a little bit of cylinder.
I get to do. My wife's coming in for an exam tomorrow, so we'll compare notes.
Good luck, Liam Neeson.
Yeah. And then you have a contact lens strategy where you don't try to date all 4 vendors equally, right? You say, hey, I'm a BMW dealership. I'm going to try to sell BMWs. So now you're a
dating shark, Aaron?
I've got all sorts of good analogies, right?
I love
it. But I mean, in college it was fun to date multiple people, but you got nowhere, right? Yeah. And same thing with contact lens vendors, right? You start saying, hey, I want to have a strategy. My office's strategy is Cooper and Daly's. We're about 80% Cooper by volume, by design, which means, I can buy some banks and my cost of goods drops significantly. I maximize my rebates. I lower my cost of goods. I got a lot of money coming in because I have a clear system. And that I wouldn't have if I tried to divide and conquer from everywhere else. It also makes it really easy because somebody walks in, everybody in the office knows what lens they're walking out in. Right? So you don't have to play this like what's going to happen game. And I have access to everything if I need it. I just run the system that we run. We do the same thing in our optical with lenses, right? I've got Verilux lenses, right? So it's pretty straightforward when you build a system. One, it becomes super easy to run, but 2, it becomes way more profitable. And then it doesn't feel like the effort I'm putting in, I'm not getting the reward back because there's much less effort going into it. and a lot more reward coming back.
Well, and really in our practices, there's only 4 levers in our businesses. There's only 4 levers that you can pull. You can see more patients.
Yep.
Which you need to do effectively and efficiently, right? Where everybody's like artificially booked out for 3 months. Well, yeah, when you're seeing 12 patients a day, you're going to be booked out, right?
Yeah.
So we have to get more effective and efficient in bringing all this tech together so we can give that patient that hyper exam that they're wanting, but get the answers really quickly. And then have that conversation back to back so we're not burnt out. Then you can sell more contact lenses, sell more glasses, or you can specialize. But I don't like the word specialize because you're taking care of a community, right? So that's, I'm going to have a myope, I'm going to have a specialty contact lens fit, I'm going to have a dry eye patient, a glaucoma patient, whatever your jam is, right? We have to become the medical professionals that we are.
Yep.
So that's really the only, do we see any other levers that we could pull?
Pricing things accordingly. I mean, just respecting your services.
Charging for your services.
Yeah, is the
Stop
only
giving
other
out
one.
Gift cards.
Yeah. Right.
One thing I'm saying here too, and this is, I think we've talked about it. So I started doing this about 5 months ago, and our capture rate went way up. So you know when you're at the end of the exam, you're like, okay, are you ready to get glasses today, or whatever I say. I don't even think that's what I say. We're gonna walk you out to the optical, and this is what I prescribe, blah 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 blah, and we're gonna maximize your vision plan benefits, right? And everybody's like, I'll just take a copy of my prescription. I don't want to change my glasses. You said my prescription didn't change that much. So what I changed it to say now is, hey patient, thank you for so much for coming in. You do have a $150 gift card towards any frame in our optical. Ooh. And they're like, wait, what? So did you see like the lean back versus the wait, I have what?
Yeah.
Right? And so my capture rate's gone through the roof because now I can have the conversation. Because nobody likes to talk about their benefits. They're confusing as shit. And they're supposed to be that way, right? That is not stacked in the patient or your favor. They make it confusing. Mm-hmm. So patients are leaving your practice, and we'll end with this, or like you'll give your 2 cents of this, but patients are leaving not because of cost.
No.
They are leaving because of confusion and convenience. Mm-hmm. We're all living busier lives than ever before. I've had this conversation with my dad. You know, he had a business, sales guy, furniture, my parents, right? Business they could grow methodically because they had time, right? They only had 2 things that they could advertise in, Yellow Pages and buying an ad on TV or newspaper, right?
Yeah.
Now you're inundated with attention, and that's that 60 minutes that you have of that patient's attention. We've got to stop confusing them. And then we've had turnover at the front desk where now they haven't been trained because you haven't had the time to train them, right? Because who knows if they're going to stick around.
Yeah.
So now you got to have these systems in place where it is bulletproof, right? You do have that focus on the target where they can't mess up.
I 100% agree. I tell my team all the time and remind myself, if they wanted if it was about cost, they would never have walked in my front door. Right. There are plenty of other value offerings in this space. And I think that they need to be there, right? There's something for everyone. That patient is not going to be happy with the care and the quality that I deliver because it's too much, right?
Yeah.
And that's cool. There's something for everyone. And if I really think that I'm worth it, and I believe that I'm worth it, then I don't have to apologize.
All right, your ego's getting a little out of check here, Aaron. Bring that down.
Oh, I am worth it.
I'm totally messing with
I am worth it. I am worth my $79 and 2 pairs of glasses for free. No, but I would be offended if that's what I was. I'm not that. So, take up the space, own the space, be proud of your space. Make sure your team understands that space too. But then it's got to be convenience. Convenience is very profitable. Patients will pay for convenience. We pay a lot for convenience, right? I don't have to drive the Blockbuster.
But they won't pay for confusion.
They won't pay for confusion, right? And so I think that's the perfect thing to end on right there, right? It's that make sure you're easy to do business with, and it's simple, and that gets rid of all that other nonsense.
Yeah.
Take time to do it.
I love that.
And then when you're at Vision
live
Expo
your
East,
vision, man. Live your vision. Like, take
Amen.
time, get out of your dark room, Again, coming up on Expo, you're coming up on Seco. There's like conference season here, right? We got the exchange. We've got
all the above. Yeah.
iSki. We've got like there's so many conferences. Oh my God. Yeah, just know where you sit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honor.
And go say hi to Brianna. Pick up your iPitch book. Do not steal her stapler because I am going to, and I'm going to be very disappointed if there's not one there for me to snag. And you know, if you're there, please reach out. Would love to say hi to you as well. In fact, I'll put my cell in the show notes, so feel free to text, and if we can grab, stop by and a quick high five or a coffee or perhaps a cocktail at some point. It'll be good. Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Bree, thanks for the relationship that we've built this year and becoming a huge sounding board and a mentor and a friend, and look forward to connecting in a few days.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited. Safe travels, everybody.
Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and our YouTube channel, both linked in the show notes. Now, here's something exciting. We're giving away a 1-year subscription to Comprehensive Optometry Simplified. All you have to do is leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, take a screenshot, and email it to me at questions@icodeeducation.com. We'll put that in the show notes as well. We'll be selecting a winner on December 15th, so don't miss your chance to get access to this valuable resource. Thanks again for listening. I can't wait to see your reviews.